What is up, podcast? Welcome back to another episode of Paradise on Fire. Back here with the crew. We actually had a plan today for what we're going to talk about, so we're going to get into that after our peach and our pit, and we have something even more exciting for next week. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be fun and exciting and funny, so it'll be good. But first of all, peach and pit. I'll go first. We were just talking. We have like the same one, so I was gonna go first.
They stole each other, so I was
Yeah.
like, well, Christopher, you better go first if you want it.
I'll start with my pit, and that's probably that after this weekend and like the last week, I felt like I dropped a bunch of weight and I got really lean. And I was just like, oh yeah, Ian's gonna give me like a refeed, and then he's gonna start pushing me really hard. And I'm gonna get fucking shredded. And I was just like looking forward to that refeed. And then he was like, texted me yesterday, like today's an off day. Okay, we're gonna take some food out. And he took like half my carbs pretty much. And then it was just like, all right, we're gonna start to really push now. Well, I'm like, we haven't really been pushing yet. And I'm already starving and dead. And I got another 10 pounds to drop. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not having a refeed this year. And that was just like my subtle disappointment. But also, it was like a little good because it allowed me to just combine two carbs into one meal and take one out of one and just not even think about it and adjust my plan a little bit better. But yeah,
so you're only 10 pounds. You're only 10 pounds away.
11.
Oh well, still, I mean, for 4 weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, my face is starting to fucking really sink in now. I can see my eyes.
I walked in today and I looked at him. I'm like, "You look fucked up."
Like,
you know, when you get close to like the like show and you start looking like Tales of the Crypt Keeper guy,
yeah,
like that's
just like creepy.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you look like a bit cracked out right now, but that's okay.
Interesting when that extra 10 pounds comes.
Yeah, wait till your face. Oh my god.
Did they so like their weight cap? Is it 230 or 240? Your weight cap.
This is if it's a 230 weight cap, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm gonna be over 6'1". I'm hoping. So I will be allowed to be 240, but I think I can still crack 229 and just be fucking shredded.
Yeah.
So
that's what you're planning for the whole off season, essentially.
Yeah, and like strategically, it's smart because no one else is big this year. So like that doesn't matter. I gotta come in fucking shredded. I'll be the biggest guy probably. But next year, if people like Steve are coming back and he's gonna be a fucking big boy, if I have that extra 10 pounds and I put some weight on, then that size will help me a lot. So strategically, it's smart. So that's the plan.
I mean, if you height in this year at 6'1", that's 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty safe to like
be 240.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, can you write this down? I'll take a picture of my phone.
You should.
Or something that happens this year. Like, cause I know I'm 6'1", so it's just like the first year I wasn't, and it was like good thing I was 225 that year.
You were in shape, yeah.
But yeah, that's the pit. No food for me. Peach is that the Olympia moved to Orlando, and it almost sounded like it could be a pit. We had to change our travel plans, but it wasn't that hard to change flights.
No.
And Orlando just like feels less stressful than being on the Las Vegas Strip. It's better weather. It's just more of a chill city vibe than like being in Las Vegas. We can like get a car, a house. We all got an Airbnb that we're staying in together, like
a mansion.
Most of found like a mansion. It's one with a crazy backyard and pool too, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's like that. Bougie.
It looks sick. So we're going up and we're all staying together there and hanging. I don't know why, but mentally just hanging out in Florida feels more fun. And everyone we told, like Melissa, Matt, Courtney, Ian, everyone got really excited about it. And that energy is just like uplifting. So that's something, just more excitement towards leaving now. And we're leaving earlier. So we're gone in like 17 days.
Yeah. We don't really have to deal with snow at all.
I mean, there's fucking a lot of snow right now.
But yeah, but like it's like literally 2 weeks almost.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's my pit.
But yeah, those are my peach and pit. So you guys next.
Well, my peach was gonna be that it was moving to Orlando. And I don't know why, but like when they first announced that, I was like shocked by it, honestly. But at the same time, I don't know why I was more hyped about it, honestly, that it was moving to Orlando. It makes really no difference from that standpoint. But I think like when you go to Vegas, it's like stressful in a sense when you even have to get your own cars. Like you all have to stay at a hotel for the most part. And everything is somewhat close to each other, but you can't really walk to anywhere because you have to go up and down those walkways. You can't just walk down the sidewalk.
It's close, but nothing is convenient.
No,
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh,
And
God.
hotel parking, valet parking,
So slow.
elevators, all
Yes.
that bullshit. Especially during COVID, like
Yeah.
having your own house would be nice.
Yeah.
But did they say if it was gonna now be like 50% capacity or something now?
I think they have a higher capacity here.
Even higher, okay. Because I know it was only like 25 potentially for the Olympia in Vegas, but I don't know if they changed it.
Like 500?
No, it's like for Vegas was 25% capacity. They were only allowing her to sell tickets.
Really?
Yeah, but I think honestly, like changes happened where it was like the capacity was even less than the tickets they had sold.
Yeah.
They said the capacity was 250 people.
Yeah, which is like that's not even competitors and their family members.
No,
you know
no.
what I mean? So
That's like competitors and staff.
yeah.
Yes.
So they made it work, which is like pretty fucking.
I don't know how they like literally did it. I mean, I'm glad they did it at least like 4 weeks out. It wasn't like the Arnold where it was like the week of, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised they were able to like move that quickly because I heard something like a little like rumor about it happening maybe a week prior, and then it, like he made the announcement to it, and like nothing was settled that week prior. But once they made it, I mean, to get everything moved from a venue and everything like that pretty quickly, that's pretty honestly incredible.
It's fucking impressive.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. Yeah. No.
Well, because I heard that they were going to try and have an expo on the rooftop of Planet Hollywood.
yeah.
So it wasn't even going to be in like an expo center. They're trying to have it outside just to have more people, and that would have just been weird.
That would have been weird, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, no, I'm hyped for it.
Yeah,
And then
we're
you said-
going to Florida now.
And then you said the mansion, and I was like, okay, but now we got it.
What's your pit, Maddie?
My pit is that my favorite holiday of the year is ruined. Thanksgiving is ruined.
Why?
Well, so I mean, like my grandma and stuff's older and everything, and she has some health issues and everything. So we all usually go to her house for Thanksgiving. My other cousin, he's had some issues the last 2 or 3 years, so like that side of the family wasn't going to come, so it wasn't going to be the same anyways. But we decided that we weren't going to go this year, so it's just going to be like the immediate family. So I'll still
At
like
your house?
yeah, at my house, but it's obviously different. Like they're still gonna have like the food and everything, but I don't know. I like Thanksgiving because like my family just chills and everything. We all watch football. You don't see each other that often, so I'm gonna miss like that aspect of it. And yeah, no, it sucks. It sucks, but I mean, everybody. The thing is, like in the States, they're almost saying like Jersey, they're only limiting. They're telling you to only have 10 people in your house at a time for Thanksgiving, and like it's one thing for as an adult you would think to make your own decision of whether you should be able to go and do it or not. So that's why like we made the decision ourselves, but obviously they're trying to mandate that you can only have 10 people in a house.
Yeah.
So
it's funny me hearing 10 people, I'm like, fuck, that's so many people.
Yeah,
We've only ever had 4.
We would never
Yeah.
have that many people.
Really?
I mean, no.
5 with Ian, 6 with Courtney, but
When I go to Ian's mom's house, there will be because there's blended families, but
Yeah.
like us, no. Ian's dad, no.
yeah, I've never had big Thanksgivings
No.
except when I went to Courtney's.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually have probably 20 to 25 people usually.
Oh my
That's
God.
sick because everyone brings like potluck and there's so many.
Yeah, we all so my grandma usually makes the dinner. Like I know she's older and my grandfather passed away. Like my dad goes down there to help, my mom goes down to help for like the dinner part, but everyone gets to bring like their own dessert. So you just have like all these amazing desserts. And that's like what I care about.
Sure.
So I mean I never like eat pie.
Thanksgiving, okay? In my new kitchen.
Deal.
Did they ever start like construction on it?
They're actually starting in January.
Oh, okay.
Because like everything got pushed and like my contractor called and he was like, we can do it. It will be stressful and me and my men will be working over Christmas. And I was like, we don't fucking care. We don't want you working over Christmas. Like, come on. So they're just gonna start in January.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to us.
Well, I said, you guys won't be home anyway.
Well, we
Take
get
you back right when they start.
we get back when they start. So it would have been nice if they did it while we were away, but like I don't want people working over Christmas on my house. Like
No.
I don't, you know what I mean? So no, we're just gonna have to unfortunately quarantine at Christopher's house.
It's like, and I'm not even gonna be here for the beginning.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Take over my house.
What about you, Mel?
There's more people that cook good food.
Yeah. Healthy good food.
Healthy good food.
What's my pit? I had one, I thought. Shit. I can't remember.
That's a good thing.
I don't know what I did.
It wasn't that
something.
bad.
It was not bad at all. It was just like a small annoyance. Oh, I think driving home from Toronto on Sunday. I don't know what was going on with me. I'm normally a very relaxed person. I was so anxious in the car. I thought we were going to get in a car accident.
Was it snowing that day?
It was snowing, yeah. And like,
were you driving?
No, I was in the passenger seat. And
that's scarier.
It's funny because Ian kept looking at me and he was like, I'm comfortable, so you should be comfortable. I'm not worried, so you don't need to be worried. But like, I don't know if I had too much caffeine or something. I'm sitting in the passenger seat just like, we're crashing today. Like I had convinced myself it were going to happen. So it was a very long, like 2 hours of that ride that like, it was really bad weather. The 2 hours felt like it was like 6 hours, but after that it was fine. So yeah, that's not a bad pit at all.
No.
Did you guys
enjoy was from when we came back and drove to Save-On?
But
that was in the dark.
Okay, you know what the weirdest thing is? We took Ian's car to Save-On at night, and we had the truck driving home from Toronto, and Ian was driving the truck in 4-wheel drive, and it was worse than the truck or than the car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does?
Yeah.
Is there a difference between 4-wheel drive and all-wheel drive?
Yeah, all-wheel drive has like more traction.
It's all. I mean, technically, it just means it's on all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he turned 4-wheel drive on the truck.
Oh, okay.
But like trucks aren't actually that good in the snow, and his truck's really small. So if the back is so light, it can still sway.
That's what was happening when we were going across like the slushy things. It was like swaying, and it was just
a quarter-ton truck, so it's like the size of a car, but just higher and like
and light, and like it was not good. But when we were driving the Stinger, it was great in the snow.
Yeah.
So that wasn't as scary for me.
Did you guys like going to the Pure? Did you like going there?
Yeah, I mean, the equipment is insane.
Yeah.
But I like a gym that has like more grime, like more, you know what I mean?
Some paint chips. And
like I just want a bit of fucking personality. I want like some like vibes. I don't know. It was very like Christopher used the word sterile, and I was like, that's exactly what this is.
Sterile showroom for the best equipment in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously amazing equipment. To have access to that is like, so I feel like game changing, but it was hard to feel like,
if you went in there alone and put your headphones on and tried to work out, you'd like be looking around like feel like it's gonna echo and like
Well, I saw
big fucking pro bodybuilders in there, so it's kind of motivating. Uplifting, but like, it's them making the environment, not the gym.
How was Dana? I saw that his show was canceled.
Yeah, so people following this, Canadian national show was supposed to be last weekend and got canceled the day before. So people were there getting their tans done, getting ready to go to registration, and then the city was just like, and after they'd already moved it like once or maybe twice, I don't know.
Twice they moved it.
They moved it twice, and then they were like, sorry, like you can't do this, like the day before. The competitors were all there from around the country, their national show. So my good friend Dana Baker was there, and he's had a rough go bodybuilding over the past few years, but finally pulled it together and like shredded this year.
He looked good.
Looked really awesome. Good. I've never seen him look so good, so mentally like fired up and ready to go. And obviously he was extremely disappointed and was upset, but he was handling it really well.
This is his second show that got canceled, because wasn't he prepping for one originally in the beginning of quarantine?
I think he might have been actually, but that was further out.
No, yeah, it wasn't the day of, basically.
Yeah, and it's just shitty too, because even he lives in the part of Canada where you have to quarantine to go back to. You have to go back to quarantine for 2 weeks, and it just sucks. But life.
He now knows how good he should look, though.
Oh yeah.
he
You know what I
knows.
mean?
But I feel like he's excited this time around to start his off season though.
Yeah. If he didn't have to quarantine and he works a lot, but it'd be sick if he could do the amateur Olympia and
Yeah.
Mhm.
just like ride into that. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's a lot, obviously.
Mhm.
To fucking 5 weeks later, 4 weeks later.
4 weeks, yeah.
What was your peach of the week, Mel?
I have like so many. Obviously the Olympia, like I was so happy about it, and I was like picking the Airbnb, and I was like stoked about it. And Ian was so happy because he's been to Florida twice already this year, and he like knows how easy it is to be there, and like
Yeah.
how like it's just better. There's less like worry that it's going to be canceled now, because that, let's be serious, I think that was in the back of everybody's head a little bit. I finally got to see like the color of my cabinets for my kitchen renovation, and it's way better than I even imagined. So I'm very happy with that.
They're pink. Pink covers.
Yeah, life's just good right now.
What would you
know?
do if you showed up and like the color of the cabinets actually are a different color than what you wanted?
I don't even know if I'd freak out. I'd just be like, you're changing this and I'm not paying a dime. You know? Probably
Imagine if they did doing it.
Let's be serious.
If they did doing
Huh?
it, if they did it during like while you were waiting for the Olympia and everything, and you did come back and it was that, would that be the first thing you'd want to
I'm so
see?
excited. That's what you walked into.
Oh God. I mean, I would probably just be like trying to like not freak out and have Ian not freak out, to be honest.
It's like you just start cooking and be like, all right, we'll fix it.
Depends how bad it was.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a lot of money. So
Well, they'd have to fix it for free.
No.
yeah. If they actually screwed up. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna be there to actually like say this is right before the install happens. So
Yeah.
it still might happen. Yeah, no, it's been like a really good week, to be honest. So my pit should be that. Actually, no, that can be my pit next week.
See,
It didn't happen yet.
It's a doom pit, dooming. Like what's the word when something's like coming?
It's got to build up,
Yeah,
like the anticipation of it.
yeah. It's like it's coming. I know it's a bad thing that's gonna happen soon. So never mind. You'll know about it in the upcoming weeks, because I'll be crying about it.
All right, you guys want to intro what we're getting into?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it last week at the end. But I feel like I've had a lot of questions, and obviously Matt has spoken about, we joke all the time about Matt's like obsession with being shredded or I'm watery, whatever, but body dysmorphia and how like it affects you and how to get past it. And like, I mean, I feel like it's actually very common in people that compete. It's probably, I would say it's more common than not. Do you think? For bodybuilders to have some sort of body dysmorphia?
Fitness people.
Yeah. And like body dysmorphia also doesn't mean like necessarily that like you think that you're fat when you're not. Like it could also be men not thinking they're muscular when they are, or like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, or women thinking that they're super muscular when they're not, or like me being so scared that I'm like looking like a man when like I don't. But like there's all these things that kind of happen when you're, I mean, in an industry that's very reliant on the way you look. And I've had a lot of girls message me asking how I kind of worked through it and got past it. And not that I'm past it, but that I'm in it and I'm comfortable. Like I can wear shorts to the gym now, whereas I would never have done that in this body shape last year. So I just want to talk about that. And then Maddie said that people have been asking too a lot about comparing. So do you want to like explain that question that you keep getting, I guess?
Yeah, a couple of people have just been asking lately from our perspective, how we go about like not comparing yourself to others, being that like everyone on social media is always posting like the highlights of their life or this or that. They don't post any lows. So of course you have these high expectations to either look a certain way, live a certain way, have everything by a certain age. And they've basically been asking, how do they not fall into the trap of comparing themselves to that so they can kind of like work on their own life and not worry about everyone else. Which is, I mean, it's tough just because I think social media has become this monster in a sense. Like the internet is never closed. So you always are attached now to your phone, whether you're on your laptop, anywhere you go, anywhere, essentially, you're going to have these comparisons that someone's going to come up to you and say, oh, do you see so and so? Or you start following people left and right. And especially for competitors, I think, or even again in the fitness industry, if you're not up to a certain standard, some people start talking about it, obviously, and that can get into your head. And they say, well, why does this person not look like that? Or this person's too small, this one's too big. How do you not like fall into again that trap of shit? Like I gotta get my shit together for that purpose and not for what I actually do enjoy. And I think people then start hating working out, and it becomes more of a job when you start comparing yourself to that other person. And it's, I think there's good times, like you can compare yourself to others, I think in some sense. I don't think it's 100% bad, but like we're not all made to do everything like by a certain age. Like it could be 20 years, like Chris, you had your success at 20 something, like, and you're building off of it now, but that doesn't mean that everyone's supposed to be, you know, the Mr. Olympia at age 24, 25, you know, so it could be age 35 for them. So you shouldn't be thinking that because this person did it, I have to do it there, or this person has an amazing job at 25, like you could be 40 and have your amazing job, but it took you a little bit longer to get there. I think that's where we have to stop comparing ourselves, more so of like what we determine success by. Because a lot of people then that are at that point aren't even happy with themselves, to be honest. Like they've gotten into this rut themselves, but they just show the positives. So that person who maybe didn't get it in their 20s gets it at 40s, and they're actually happy with what they're doing with their life. And they probably have a, you're more, I think you're always going to be more successful if you're happy doing what you like want to be doing. Someone who's successful that hates what they're doing, I'm not someone who really wants that kind of life, you know?
Yeah.
And I think people fall into that trap, seeing these nice things, these nice cars. And I mean, a lot of times it's just for show. I mean, everything from the houses to the cars to whatever they do, the planes, they're all rented in some sense. Like you see these people on TikTok, no one's actually like, half the people don't even own those cars. They go rent it for $300 for the day, take pictures for it all week, and that's it.
I mean, even if they do own it, you know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like that's not even the point.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think maybe like people have become so obsessed with this like end result because of social media? Like
Yeah.
everyone's thinking like I should be here by this age, or Christopher's 23 and he's Mr. Olympia. Like you don't, half the people that are like, if you're comparing yourself, like, sorry, you don't have the ability to do that. Like that's not even an option for you. So why, you
I think
know?
people become unrealistic with what is actually possible for sometimes themselves.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like you're not born with Chris's genetics. Like I'm sorry to break it to you, so you shouldn't be comparing yourself to someone who has genetics like that. Like I look at myself and I'm like, I can work out, but there's no way I'm going to be on an Olympia stage placing top 5. Like I'm realistic with myself and what I look like. So I'm never going to say like, oh man, like I really wish I could be Chris, you know? I'd rather like live what I know I'm capable of doing and just be the best at what I can do, you know? So I think, yeah, social media is definitely, I know Chris gets a lot of the questions of, oh, how can I do this? How do I get on the track that you're on and everything like that? And they don't realize like they have to create their own niche in a sense. You can't just always use the exact same model that someone else had it or what you think should be done.
How would you think to differentiate like that like unrealistic goal with like also copping out on yourself and like being a pussy and being too afraid to try, you know? Because like there's that whole aspect of like I'd rather aim high and miss my mark than aim low and hit it. But then
You're aiming high for yourself. You're not aiming high based off of what someone else has done. So yeah, you could say you want this and you want the success, but I'm not going to go and compare myself of what you did to get there.
True, yeah.
Is that the differentiation though? That you're setting
Like-
your standard based on you and not
Right.
based on somebody
Like
else?
you see some kid with awful genetics who said he wants to be Mr. Physique Classic Olympia, and not because I am, but because that's his dream. But like realistically, he still doesn't have chances, whether it's because of me or whether it's because it's his own dream that he wants. You know, where does that unrealistic standard meet like a high goal that will drive you to be better?
Like, I think it all comes down to you want to look at what you did, maybe not from yesterday. I mean, obviously you want to be better from who you were yesterday, but I would take it more so for like 1 week at a time. Like, you're not necessarily going to change overnight on something, but you definitely can take steps each and every single week to become who you want to be. So when someone says, oh, I want to be the classic physique Mr. Olympia, and like usually, you know, like, hey, if you have the genetics or not. I mean, some people still think they have it, and I'm not going to say don't go after what you want to achieve. I just think like just know in the back of your head that might not be achievable. What can you do on your own terms to like make something out of it? So whether that be, you know, you become the next amazing bodybuilding or fitness coach or something, you go train celebrities, like hone in on what craft you're really good at and then continue it that way, and it'll just open up more opportunities for yourself that way, rather than just kind of keeping, I think in some sense, like you have to have this tunnel vision, like, but you're again someone who the genetics were there, you know.
Yeah. Also, I think you nailed it at the beginning when you said the smaller goals.
Yeah.
Never wanted to be Mr. Olympia. I never even wanted to be pro when I started bodybuilding. I wanted to win Ottawas. I wanted to win Ontario's. I wanted to win junior nationals. And then I was like, maybe I can go pro. And then I was like, maybe I could win a pro show. And then I was like, maybe I'll go to the Olympia. And then I came second. I was like, holy fuck, maybe I can win. But it was never, I was never ahead of myself to that point. It was like, what's the next goal? Like the next thing in front of me. And it wasn't because fucking someone else was doing it or whatever.
That also very much allows you to follow your path, because your path, if it's right, is going to like be laid out for you. Whereas let's say you're 12 years old and you look and you like, I mean, not 12 because that's not true. Like, let's say you're 18 or something and you're actually investing your life in becoming Mr. Olympia. That's very far down the road. You don't want to miss other opportunities that might actually be your true path because you're chasing that like far, far, far away goal. So if you're actually chasing like these, like, I don't want to call them small goals, but shorter term goals, because the goals are still big. Like winning a pro show is not a small goal. Winning your first show is not a small goal. It's a shorter term goal. If you're chasing those one after the other and you're succeeding, your path is going to unfold and you're going to end up in the right place. But you also, like, I don't know, I'm different. Like a lot of people, and like Christopher and Ian, for example, will speak in the terms of like, you have to like go into the show with the goal to win or else you won't win. I don't really do that. Like I go into the show and I want to be my best, but I don't think I ever really, the last time I probably did a show that I was like, I want to win was my amateur provincial show. Even when I did nationals, I didn't want to win. I just wanted to like look good. And I didn't think I would get my card. That was my goal. And it didn't stop me from working harder, but it made me, I was okay that it might not happen that year and it might be the next year.
Yeah. I think that's where I've seen the most competitors honestly burn out of being in the industry. Is I do agree you have to have some sense of like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to win this show, but they forget the point where if you are going to compare yourself to anything, compare it to the last time you stepped on stage. They'll start comparing, like, again, it's a very subjective sport, bodybuilding. So you could show up at your best package and everyone could have said you won the show and you could still come in third place or whatever. So at the end of the day, at least you can compare yourself to, hey, how did I look last time? Did I beat that look? You know, what else do I need to improve on? But when people start comparing themselves to their like basically they're placing and trying to compare themselves to everyone in that lineup. That's where they kind of go into this downward spiral, and they start kind of like hating the competitive aspect because they're like, oh, well, no matter what I do, the judges are never going to give it to me. And as soon as that starts hitting, you start hitting 2, 3, 4 shows of, I know a lot of people that didn't become pros, and they every single time when they would go in there and they'd say, oh, I'm going to totally win the show. I got second place last year, and they come into the next show and they ended up getting like fifth or something. Then all of a sudden the next show they got fifth again. And like their whole ego is kind of like hurt by it, because now they go up there thinking, well, there's nothing I can do anymore. And they forget that why they really started to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Do you guys compare yourselves to like other like men? Like
the only time I'd say like you could, like, I don't necessarily compare myself to other guys like that. But like there's a couple different aspects.
Would you ever look at a guy and be like, he's leaner than me?
I don't really do leanness maybe like that.
Okay, but he's bigger than me?
Yeah, I mean, like, say, like, for instance, if I go to the Olympia, you're gonna walk into the expo and be like, fuck, man, I'm gonna go take X, Y, and Z, like, you know what I mean, when you get home. But like as a joke in your head, but you're just like, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna train harder. I'm gonna go I use it more as a motivating factor to get me back in the gear if I was slipping. But I definitely
would you ever like walk into the expo and like be like feeling good about yourself, and then all of a sudden like see like 6 guys that are in better shape and bigger than you, and then all of a sudden be like, fuck, I suck, I hate myself, and your day's ruined?
No,
I don't think
I compare myself to people. Like I'll walk in the gym and I'll be like, fuck, this guy's way bigger than me. But I'm like,
yeah,
I get excited. Like when I see Trent Corney or someone in the gym, this huge fucking guy in the gym, I'm like, fuck, this guy's massive. That's sick. I hope he benches today. I want to see him bench 500 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't give a fuck if he's bigger than me,
No.
Mm-hmm.
And I also don't walk into an expo feeling good because I feel big.
But that's not an insecurity of yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't walk in there and like it won't ruin my day. I'll make a comment to myself.
Is you being not big an insecurity of yours? No.
I think I just like, again, I look what we told like them not to do essentially. Like I still have this long-term goal of always still wanting to be 250 and shredded, like, and walking around like that. So it's always like, as when I was young, like you'd see like bodybuilders on the covers of magazines and you'd be like, oh man, like that's what I want to look like, at least for like some point in my life. So I think that's always still been in the back of my head, that like I still want to be that. I've gotten better over the years being like, okay, like it's not as important to me, but it still is there that I want to look like that.
Yeah, but I'm trying to kind of like get to the negative aspect of comparing yourself to people. And I find personally for myself that when the comparing starts to become detrimental and no longer motivating or pushing me to do something, it's usually when I'm comparing myself to someone that is better at me or better than me at something that I'm extremely insecure about. So I have this like worry that I look like a giant woman, whether it's too fat or too muscular, that I'm just a very big woman. So when I see a tiny fit girl, I start to get negative towards myself. And that's not constructive. But if I'm in the gym and I see another girl that's ripped, leaner than me and jacked, like that motivates me because I'm not insecure about my muscularity, or you know what I mean? So I think if you are having these like issues with comparing yourselves to others, whether it's money on Instagram or, job on Instagram, I would basically like look inside to what is bothering you specifically, because usually it's a pretty specific thing. Like for Ian, it's usually muscularity, like the size of a man. And if it starts to become negative, where you start talking down to yourself in your head, or you're having these like counterproductive conversations with yourself, like beating yourself down, it's probably something that you're unhappy about with yourself. That if you start to like focus on making that part of you better, or what you want, or more close to like your ideal, you'll be able to compare yourself and have it not be so emotional. Because, like, you're right. You should be able to compare yourself and not have it be such a negative trigger.
Mhm.
It's not the end of the world if someone's better at you than something. There's always going to be someone better than you. But, like, for me personally, anything that I'm extremely insecure about, and it flows. Like, sometimes I'm insecure, sometimes I'm not. If I'm feeling in like a place of extreme insecurity, I like can't see people that have what I am insecure about. Does that make sense? Because then it becomes like really negative.
Like you become a bad version of yourself when you're around them.
Yes, 100%. So like when Courtney came into the picture and I was like fucking the heaviest I'd ever been and I was so big, it was really hard for me to be around her. I like had a really hard time even like being myself, receiving her, like because I was jealous 100%. So if like this comparing starts to come and like spur into like that like evil jealous monster, I think you need to just kind of like think about why you're feeling that way and what you can do to control your feelings of yourself. Because I guarantee you're having negative feelings towards yourself about this specific aspect, and that's what's creating that like negative jealous comparison thing. Or it doesn't even have to be jealousy, because I know sometimes like girls especially will like see someone that looks better than them and then all of a sudden they'll better than me, so and I'm never going to look like that, so fuck this and go like binge or whatever your self-sabotage thing is. And it's usually because there's like an underlying very deep insecurity that you can fix and control because it's you, but like you need to figure that out.
Do you think I'm always believe it for is being self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to, what was it for you? You think that like take the take the Courtney example or whatever that made you self-aware enough to understand that it wasn't her that would make you feel like a bad version of yourself, or it was your insecurities and it was your body, and like
I don't think I did understand it at the beginning. I think
but what, and then it was just like kind of feeling it long enough and like diving deeper into yourself that
it was not trying, it was me stopping not trying to feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like as I get older, I'm like realizing that like these negative feelings that I have are not bad. They don't need to be turned off. They don't need to be like controlled and stopped and never come back. They need to be acknowledged and then dissected and figured out how they can be solved. Whereas old Melissa would be like, okay, you're having this negative thought, turn it off and keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I was trying to do. And it was creating all these other problems, you know what I mean? All these other things started like basically like spidering out of like things that were just not true, because your brain is trying so hard to make sense of your emotions and you're trying to basically tell your emotions to shut the fuck up. So I mean it was awful because I feel like I didn't even really give Courtney a chance until she was already gone, because that's when I was like, what the fuck is my problem? Like why are you so jealous of her? I don't want to be her. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? And then I started thinking about it and I had been like living in an out of shape body for a long time by that point. And I just kind of like, yeah, I just followed like the bad feelings to the root basically, which like you don't really want to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I talked about it with girls, with my girlfriends. I didn't really talk about it with like Ian or anything because I feel like it's not, I like to talk about stuff like that with women because they understand more in my experience. But I also don't know if I ever would have been able to like get back in the shape that I wanted to be in if I hadn't acknowledged that and like released it, you know?
Yeah.
So it was essentially becoming a self-limiting factor for you for doing
100%. This. Yeah, 100%. in like all aspects of my life. It
But
wasn't
do you
just
think because of that comparison, it was like, well, she looks like that, like I don't look like that tomorrow, I don't look like that today, like, and that would essentially just like it
but
made
it's
it
not
harder
even
for you to start, I guess, to get back to it.
but yeah, but like I think I also had to kind of be like, I don't look like that tomorrow, today, yesterday, when I was 12 years old. Like, let's actually be, do I even want to look like that?
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
even gonna make me happy if I look
No.
Yeah.
So when I act, even like if I look at a girl that I think might beat me on stage, I'm usually pretty good at getting beat because I look at the body and I'm like, I don't want to look like that anyways.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's fuck. I don't know.
I mean, I think I heard a fucking Kobe Bryant quote that said a very similar thing.
What?
When he was talking about fear, that's why I use the word dissect, because I think that's what he said too.
Yeah.
And it's every aspect of life. When you're feeling fear and you try and shove it down, it starts to control you. You start to feel anxious. You start to have poor self-image on yourself. And I find that's when people are more likely to like give up rather than try and fix. Like they're like, when they're fear and you try and push it down, you're like, I'll never look like that. I can never look like that, so I'll never be happy. Like fuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, I'll never look like that, but what else can I do to be happy?
Mm-hmm.
Because who cares? And like taking that fear, I think he was talking about fucking like free throws or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're taking your free throws and you're scared you're gonna miss and you're nervous, and free throws are 100% mental game.
Yeah.
In the NBA. And if like what he's like, so you're standing on the line, what the fuck are you afraid of? You're gonna miss one shot, you're gonna miss two shots, everyone's gonna be upset. You think you're gonna let your team down? Did your team never let you down?
Mm-hmm.
Are you mad at your team for letting you down the week before?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you not give a fuck and you came to this new game?
Mm-hmm.
This was a week later from the shit last game. Are people gonna remember this a week later even?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like, take your damn shots and move on.
Yeah.
But it's like exactly what you guys need to be self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
See it in yourself, understand it, not push it down, and begin to dissect it and ask yourself those questions that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Do I even want to look like that?
Mm-hmm.
Would I be happy if I looked like that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would, but am I ever going to look like that? No. So what else can I do to be happy?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to push myself forward rather than back down?
Mm-hmm.
I just think like by comparison, like comparing all your things on social media to yourself, I mean, I truly do believe we're in like this age of, because of social media, that everyone like, I don't think we've had this high rate of like depression and anxiety ever before than what we're living in today. And I think it's just, again, that comparison is what's causing you to say exactly what you're saying. That's causing you to live in fear. And then the fear can obviously then cripple you. So then you don't go out and do what maybe you're destined to go out and do, because again, you're comparing yourself to somebody else. And again, we have all these other things going on now with being locked in our house, which is only now making you look on your phone more, and you're probably comparing yourself even more now than ever. Because now, say if you were working out, you can't go to the gym as often as you could have if your gym's closed. So now it's even worse that you're now stuck at home. But again, like, take what situation you do have and just kind of like take the good out of it and see what you can do and put forth that effort. Like, your body can change. I mean, you guys just did your transformation challenge. Like, how did people do in the 8 weeks? Like, how quickly can people change in 8 weeks?
Ridiculous.
You know, so
without access to a gym. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but as I said, so I'm assuming people had their gyms closed, right?
A lot. Yeah.
But they still worked with what they had, and with the proper guidance, like, your body can change a lot in 8 weeks. So I know I'm not 100% someone who can talk on this, being that I do have some type of, mine is very internal. Like, I don't compare it to somebody else. Like, the only time I say I compare is, the only way I know how to put this is that sometimes I could walk into the gym like it's a regular commercial gym. I could still be the biggest guy there, but still feel like the smallest one in my head.
Okay, well, let's lead into like the next aspect of today then. When you say that, what are you like, what are you seeing? Where is that coming from?
It's not even a seeing. I think it's just, again, it's just more of that long-term goal I'm so set on. So it's again, I'm not looking at any. I could walk into the gym and not look at a single person. Just in my head, that's my mentality. Sometimes walking in, if I'm in a bad mood or something, that it completely ruins the workout sometimes, or sometimes it could motivate you, but in most cases it's going to ruin the workout, because then you're like, oh, I'm not as pumped as I was yesterday, or I'm not this, and in reality you're like, well, I made it to the gym today, like I just have to give it my all. But I
Do you
don't know.
convince yourself that you're like not moving forward day after day? Because you're telling me you have a long-term goal.
I think what has bothered me more so, I feel like I haven't progressed as much as I wanted to, probably in the last like three years, and I think that's what's gotten to me more recently.
Okay, and is it you that's stopping that based on the idea that you haven't progressed enough in 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's based on my own. I mean, if I were to look at pictures, I mean, they're obviously, I think pictures are important for instances like that, whether you have an issue being you want to be too big, or if you're trying to like gain weight back on, or you're losing weight. I think pictures are a good indicator to show the progress over the years. So I've made progress over the years, but for some reason, like this last week, say if I look in the mirror, I'm like, yo, I look like shit. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll look in the mirror and I'll say, yo, you look like shit. Like, you didn't do fucking cardio last week. You're literally a piece of shit. Like, go do the bike for fucking 45 minutes. I don't know why. It literally just pops in my head.
I'm sorry, Christopher just shit his pants. I cannot like control myself right now. I stopped listening and I feel like that was so important.
Flipped out.
that picked it up for sure. Oh my god, okay.
We need to highlight anyways.
Yeah, okay. Moving on.
My question though is, when you back to that, pretend that didn't happen.
It's stated.
You?
What?
Does it discourage you? Like, is that something where like you're like,
yes,
like,
it does.
So when you're saying like you're not looking how you look, and you come in, and you, like you said, it ruins your day, you don't feel good, but did that make you like be like, fuck, I need to work harder to make more progress? Or is it be like, fuck, 3 years I haven't made any progress, I suck? Like,
I mean, I don't look at myself every single day and be like, yo, bro, it's been 3 years, get your shit
I
together.
don't every day, but like,
yeah,
when
but
you have those
once
moments.
a week.
No, I don't look at myself that often. I think it's just like sometimes you'll have that bad day and it just creeps in your head. And I don't think it discouraged me from working out hard that day. It does maybe motivate me more to work harder, but just sometimes like during that week where you just feel off, like your just mental state isn't all there. So I'm still working harder, I'm still working hard, if not harder than I was the week before because of that. But sometimes, like, say if I had like inflammation or something and you're holding more water, like it does get to my head more often than not.
This is where, like, for me, and like I don't pretend to like know the inner workings of your brain, but I feel like you're in this vicious cycle because like you have this idea that you need to be not just lean all the time, but you want to be dry all the time. You don't want to be inflamed. You don't want to be watery. You have this goal that you want to be 250. But every time that you feel like you're getting a little inflamed or a little watery, you'll either do more cardio or you'll cut your calories for a day or whatever you're doing. And then you get back to your dryness that you like. And then you start to get upset with yourself because you don't think you're moving towards your end goal of 250 fast enough. And then you get down on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Like, say necessarily when I say do the cardio, it usually just, I keep cardio in off season type of thing, more so for like heart health. Like I always have high blood pressure, so it's more.
How much
so,
do you weigh right now?
You also just said when you look in the mirror, you look inflamed, you go and do cardio.
1 second. How much do you weigh right now?
Probably like 215, 220.
And 2 years ago, same body fat, how much did you weigh?
See, that's where that will piss me off, because I was probably, if I was a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago, I was probably 225 more shredded than what I am now.
Yeah, but then I just said that cycle to you and you started to rationalize your behavior.
No, I know.
No. no, it's for my heart health.
I mean, I think what always bothers me, I think this is the one that bothers me the most, is I've gotten down lean before, and it's probably more so an excuse. I've gotten down lean before. This is like the first time, honestly, where I can hit a rebound in a long time where like there's not other obstacles in the way. And I know that those right now, like this is like the first time where I'm like, all right, cool, you can like do what you need to do.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, no, that's what like I have in my mind right now. I need to take one step back to take two steps forward, and
But
that's what I
what's
need
a step
to do.
backwards to you? What does that mean?
No, like saying like accepting that you have to like obviously put on body fat to put on weight.
But why is that a step backwards? Your goal is not to be shredded. Your goal is to put on weight.
It's not like a step backwards as far as like the weight goal and everything like that. I think it's just like a step backwards in how you might look at yourself for that 6 months to a year.
How you look at yourself.
Yeah. So like you have to accept that for the 6 months to a year of like realistically a year. Like if I want to put on that kind of weight, like I can't just go. I think my thing is too is I'll get to the point where I'll do like the 6 months bulk, then 6 months cut, 6 months. Like I need to just stick with like a 2-year bulk, honestly.
Do you actually want to be 250?
Well, I've never been there, but yeah, that's what that's really honest. I do want to be like 250, not necessarily like that lean, but I want to be like 250 at 8%.
Because your actions right now are someone who wants to be bro shaped 215 all the time.
Oh no, exactly. That's what my actions are showing. No, I know that.
Yeah, but like if that's the case, then that's totally cool.
Even the way you talk when you're like, oh, I need to just bulk for 2 years, and I know your mind, you like bulk 2 years means like I need to get fat for 2 years and then come down. Like you don't need to at all.
Yeah, but his definition of fat, I think, is very skewed.
Probably.
I also think maybe your definition of 8% is skewed.
8% is fucking shred.
Yeah.
I'm not even 8% at 250.
Yes, you are.
He's probably 8 right now.
No, you're not 8 right now.
No. I'm like 6.
Okay, sorry, 6 between 6, 7, 8. Jesus.
He's 7.8. Okay,
but let's be serious. He's 4 weeks out from the Olympia, and he's in amazing shape right now. And you're talking about being 2% more than that at 250.
Yeah, I mean, what would you realistically?
Close to the size of my husband.
Yeah, I think my 250 would look a hell of a lot different than his 250, though.
Then it would be 8%.
No, I'm saying
or in terms of height.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like a couple inches different.
Like I'll look at it. So I'll look at my 250.
I'm just calling you out on your bullshit right now.
No, of course. I think like say like if at my 250, I'll look at it from like, all right, now I'm at 250. I'm not gonna look the same for him because then I have different insertions. I have different like whatever. So again, it's my 250 obviously is gonna look different at that stage, you know.
Yeah, but let's be serious. A man at 250 at almost any height at 8% body fat is a big fucking man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like maybe you do want to be that big, but I don't believe you because you don't act like it.
I can see you wanting to be 250, 15%.
I could see you wanting to be a nice the shape you're in now, 230.
I like being 12 to 15%. That's where I like to be. Body fat.
I mean, I like when I say 8, like I'm okay if I was at like 250 and you have just like somewhat of lines of abs, not shredded. Like right now, like I have, if I probably went to go work out, like I'd have veins probably at certain points. Like I mean, my veins and my arms are like stupid right now, but like
veins are that means nothing. People can be 30% body fat with veins.
No, I'm saying like I know when I'm.
On your tummy, that's
as I said, if I have them on my stomach, that usually means like I'm lower body fat. So I still have like one that runs across here. So I know my body fat's still low, but in my head, I'll tell myself something else.
I would challenge you to change the goal.
To what?
Something more attainable and something that maybe allows you to stay in the shape that you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think I need to just break it down to more so of like not doing a long-term goal as 250 and just say, hey, for this next period of whatever of going up in weight, I need to hit X amount, like, and go from there.
Yeah, but hit X amount and stay at a body fat that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And it
I
might
mean,
take,
don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm happy with what I have. I always want. I think it's like the saying, the first day you start lifting is the first day you're like, or something about the first day you start lifting is the first day you're small forever or something. I feel like that's always in the back of my head because I always just want to be better than I was yesterday.
yeah, but if you felt like you were becoming better than you were yesterday every day, you wouldn't be as like, I don't know if anxious is the right word. You wouldn't be as distraught by these thoughts.
Yeah,
right?
partially.
And if your goal was to be 220, you wouldn't go back and forth before getting there.
I mean, like, I'd have to look at it like this. Like, when I left your house in March, I was 220. I wasn't in nearly the shape I was in now at 220. And I'm 220 today. So I have to like look at those as like small victories, I guess.
Well, yeah, but
but I'm not.
You're not looking at the victories, or you're not that?
No, I'm saying like I need to look at more of that as like I said, like looking back and count that as more of like a victory, and again appreciate that where I'm at now rather than again pushing myself of where I want to be.
Well, yes, let's appreciate that victory and set the next goal as 225. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
I don't know,
it's just very extreme.
I mean, I don't know if it's because growing up, like, I mean, I wasn't fat, but like, I definitely probably is something of in my head that's always like stayed in there. So you're always just trying to like, oh, I can't go back to that. I don't think that every day, but I'm sure that's somewhat in there deep down. Like, you can't.
A lot of everything we feel is from our childhood.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that drive us on a daily basis are not things that you're going to say, I think, every day.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. Yeah.
Like, say, for instance, like this one dad always used to call me Big Matt. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna be Big Matt, but I'm gonna be a different Big Matt now, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, I don't think that in my head, but like, obviously, like thinking about it now, I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Well, yeah, you remember this.
You don't think Big Matt, you just think when you start to feel too big, you start to think bad. Negative. Not good. Comparing to this.
Yeah.
You know, think of specific situations. It's just emotions tied to specific things in your life.
Yeah.
Well, you better be fucking 225 by the time 2021 comes around.
I'll be 225. I mean, at the same time, I think my problem also.
See any veins in your tummy either.
No veins by Orlando. I mean, I think also part of it is mine is like, I'll look at it from a calorie perspective. So like right now I'm at like 4,500 calories. And even then, like I still have to continue to keep bumping it from there, obviously, to keep continuing to gain weight. And I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I keep continuing it, is my appetite going to go again? Is everything like that going to go? So I'm like being extra cautious is like not going out and having like a refeed or a cheat because I just want to stick to that one. Like I mean,
now you're living out of fear.
I guess. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. I mean, I think mine is like I lost my appetite for like literally like a year, and I was always someone who wanted to eat. Like I'm always ready to go, and I think now, which was never an issue. Putting down food for me is never an issue. And when I lost that for like a year, I kind of like felt like lost, I think, from that sense. And I guess, I wasn't myself for that time period. And I think now I'm like, and there's no reason. Like, I think this is probably like the happiest I've been in a long time. So I don't think it's not tied in my happiness right now. So I think in my head, I'm thinking, well, fuck, if tomorrow something happens tomorrow and something changes, am I going to lose it? You know?
I mean, that's normal. And I feel like I have days where I'm scared that shit's going to go back to the way I used to feel. But like, you need to acknowledge that and then like stop it, because you're in a good place now. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. The next day is going to be a good day. And you need to see that and manifest that instead of thinking, if I do this, this might happen. Or if I do this, this is going to happen. and then you're not even going, you're going to stay in the same place forever then.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you're happy in this place now, but we thrive on progression.
Yeah.
You can't just stay the same because everything's happy now and think that you're going to stay happy for 6 months. You still need to progress and not be too scared to do so.
I think that's like, I've gotten better at it from that perspective. Like I'm saying, this is more of like what I've always thought over like an X amount of period. I don't think I've been as bad about it like recently, maybe in like, especially like the last 6 months. I think like, say for me, like I think quarantine was actually like a good thing for me because it helped me do more like kind of self-reflection on it. But I was always a chronic overthinker no matter what on everything. And you could tell me one thing and I'll tell you 8 or 10 different scenarios of what could happen, and I'll get in my head and literally think about every single one before I would come to like some kind of solution for it. And I think it's like the kind of the most recent time period where it's more of just like reacting on gut instinct lately rather than just like, shit, what could go wrong, or if you do this it'll be better, you know. And this is the first time I think I've actually kind of settled into just trusting my gut and moving forward with it.
Well, the more you do it and the more you realize that like nothing bad happens, then the easier it's going to become.
Well, I think I remember like at the same time, like, is it going to matter in 3 weeks? Like, whatever that decision was, or is it going to matter in a year? Is it going to matter in 10 years? And in most cases, it literally doesn't matter for an hour of your life after it, you know?
It's also like things happen. And when I say nothing's bad, nothing bad's going to happen. Like, I don't know, maybe something will, but like you'll be okay, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just have to kind of like dive.
Just gotta
We've spoken about this too, you and I. You know damn well when your appetite goes, it's all right here.
Oh, I know.
Stress is something going on, and when you say, well, I'm eating 4,500 calories now, if I add more, what if my appetite goes away? It has nothing to do with adding more food. But even that mindset of that subtle stress is potentially enough for
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And like the vocabulary you use on a day-to-day basis is like true to how your body reacts. Your body doesn't know anything other than what your mind is talking about. If you say stuff like, I choose to fucking keep my appetite as I eat more, you will. And if you believe that, you will. Like it's a fucking difficult choice, but how you think about things and feel is a choice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I look at this stuff, I would say maybe 80% of the time I will say those things, but it's those 20% that'll creep in, which obviously like I have to still work on, but it's that 20% that I'll use the negative vocabulary. And it definitely does add stress and add more anxiety into my day-to-day kind of things. And I mean, I know the appetite thing is not related, like you said, to food. It's 100% related to anxiety. Like without a doubt.
It's also that 20% of time that it does happen is usually the most important times.
Exactly.
I could tell myself 90% of the year I'm feeling good and I'm great and I'm like blah blah, but 10% of the year I'm like scared, living in fear. And that 10%, 6 weeks out the Olympia, that's when it matters the most.
Yeah.
Or the second you choose, you're gonna bump up your calories and start gaining weight, and you put on 1.5% body fat. That's when that 20% comes in, and you go back to the old way.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't get too caught up on what others say about me. If they say like, oh, like whatever, or they compare me to someone else, I don't think I ever am bothered by that. But yeah, it's always something that's internal that I'll tell myself.
Yeah, I think you have a little bit of like an ideal in your head, and it's
like I don't know if it's necessarily like an insecurity. I'm not really insecure of how like other people see me. I think like you said, it's more of an ideal in my head of what I for some reason have scripted out in my own head when I did chronic overthinking and everything else. And like if I don't attain that, like essentially then it's kills everything else, you know.
Well, you're trying to regain control.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
instead of just like relinquishing and just living and going for what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the same time that was when I've gained more balance to my life, though, kind of like helping relinquish some of that stuff. Like I would 100% be, for no reason, 100% strict on this or 100% strict on this, or I would tell friends, no, I can't go out. I mean, for most of college, I didn't really go out and party because I had to be, like you could have found a balance to do both things and bodybuild at the same time. But I would say, oh, I can't go out. Like I got to get up for the gym. I got to get my meals in. I got to get this. In reality, like I was nowhere near where I could have even been because I wasn't enjoying myself. So that added stress actually made it worse and probably made me even look worse. But yeah, I think over time it's definitely gotten better. I think again,
it's not something that anyone ever masters.
No,
This
no.
isn't something that like one day you're like, oh, I'm fixed. I never have these negative feelings anymore. Like, come on, like that's not what it is. I think even the fact that you can like talk and say that you have these issues and that you need to work through them that's all it is. That's all you could ask of yourself.
I think part of it is though, like I'm someone who usually doesn't talk about it. So I think that's
but you also a lot of your life, excuse me if this is wrong, is about other people.
Yeah, for the most part. So that's why I don't really communicate. I'm not the best at say like communicating. I've worked on it, but I'd say like I usually don't maybe communicate those aspects.
Yeah, but something that's really special about you is that if someone asks you a question, you're more than open to answer and you don't get defensive. You don't get like, you know what I mean? You don't shut down. You're actually very open to converse. Maybe you see in yourself that you don't like initiate the conversation, but like, I feel like when I ask you questions, like you're very open to communicate like deeply about yourself, which is like that's a big thing. That's like something
I
that
don't
you should be proud of.
like I'd rather do it more of like a connecting with somebody, I guess, more than like I'd rather have a better connection with someone that can relate to it than necessarily like maybe sometimes in that moment fix whatever issue I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be fixed. So
no, it's never going to be fixed. Never going to be fixed.
Oh God.
I feel like I'm pretty similar to that. I won't like talk about it, but if you ask me, I'll fucking tell anything.
Yeah.
Right question though. Like, how are you? Fine.
Yeah.
If you ask me something specific, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm lucky to be surrounded by like fucking you or Courtney, who's extremely emotional. My mom who's really emotional, and they will like get the stuff out of me, and it's like.
But I think that also comes down to like who I used to maybe hang with or anything like that. I think like definitely surrounding yourself, like you said, with the right people has helped me kind of like come out of that shell a little bit more. I mean, I used to never like you could have even asked me questions before and I wouldn't even say anything. I just go, yep, everything's good. And I think it definitely is.
I feel like you get to know what the answer is.
What was that?
I said you have to feel like people are going to give a shit about what your answer is for you to feel like it's worth giving.
That's true.
Answering to.
Yeah, I think maybe previous people who, like would just be like, "Oh, that's cool, but why don't you listen to what I have to say?" Sometimes, you know, and you would have those kind of people in your life, and you're like, "Cool, I'll just not talk next time."
100%.
Yeah,
and you shut down for the rest of the relationship. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm just
people toxicity levels over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
Yes. But they're gone now.
All gone.
We'll all wear our masks.
What?
I don't know.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's my bigorexia story.
So is body dysmorphia only when you like are something and think you're not, or think you're something you're not? Like it's a misconception, or is it like just being unhappy with how you look as well?
No,
if you are fat and you're like, I hate that I'm fat, is that body dysmorphia? Or is it only if you're skinny and think you're fat?
I'm going to look it up, but I do think body dysmorphia is used. You can't stop thinking about one or more perceived defects or flaws in your appearance.
So it's just perceived defects.
Yes.
So if you are overweight and you are sad you're overweight, that's also it?
Well, it's more you can't stop thinking about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's anxious, you're so ashamed, it prevents you from doing things. Like it's like anything I find that's like mental health, when it starts to become like labeled as something, it usually is altering your life in some way. You know what I mean? Like it's usually preventing you
very
from
persistent.
functioning. So like, not that like, obviously it's not like you can't get up in the morning because you're anxious about your body, but like, do you stop yourself from going out because of this? Do you stop yourself from like
wearing a tank top,
wearing certain clothes? Do you go out in public and then all of a sudden you're extremely anxious because you start to see other people, or you think people are looking at you, or whatever you're feeling? Like, I missed my best friend's engagement party because I was too anxious to leave my house because of my body. And she wasn't as angry as her fiance was, but her fiance was pissed. He was like, how did you not come, or something? And I was just like, I felt awful, but like, I actually felt in that moment that I could not leave my house and go in public and go into this party where people hadn't seen me and be okay. And like, that's pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, you start to miss like serious life events because you're telling yourself that like you're too gross to be seen in public, surrounded by people that you love. Like, that's sad. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you ever have it's something that has to prevent like functioning of some sort, or like it's
negatively impacting your life.
Yeah, it's negatively impacting your life.
But it was yours more so just in like the recent part of your life where you had the issue, or is it always like that, like growing up?
I would say it probably started after high school, when I gained my like first bout of weight, because like I was like a ripped kid like until I graduated high school. You know what I mean? Like I was into sports. I was always the girl with like the really flat stomach and the muscular legs. Like, that's just who I was. And I gained a bunch of weight, and like, I don't think I even really noticed when I gained the weight, but like other people did, and people said things to me, and you start changing sizes when you have to go shopping, and like, you know, things like this. And you're like, I didn't weigh myself when I was that age. I didn't give a fuck. You know, I have no idea what I weighed. I have no idea how much weight I gained. But like, all of a sudden people were telling me that I had cellulite and that I had gained weight and that I looked different and I had to wear a size large, and all these things were changing. And I didn't really have anything like traumatic happen to me, to be honest. It was just, I think it's just part of being a girl too. There's a lot of pressure on not just how you look physically, but specifically your body shape.
Do you think it like affected you more when someone said it when you had your first weight gain out of high school? Or do you think it was worse, like say like when you were competing and you had put on weight? Do you think it was because you had the expectation to look like muscular and everything? Did it hurt more that way?
So when I first started competing, I didn't care when people would say negative things about me. I gave zero fucks. I was very proud of my body, and I was proud of putting on muscle, and I was proud of being strong. I had lots of people when I worked at Lululemon, like older people would come in and be like, why did you do that to yourself? Or like family members say things like, well, you look better when you were doing yoga, or whatever you want to say. And I didn't really get affected by it at that moment. Fast forward like 4 years, when I'm sure it kept coming at me. And then so I started getting more popular on social media. There start to become negative comments about me being a man, me being on steroids, me like, you know, very negative, toxic things. And yeah, it kind of started changing how I felt about something that used to make me very proud. And then I kind of tried to fix that by always staying in show shape. Because when I was in show shape, I was still a woman size small, and I was still little, and like, you know what I mean? So as soon as I put on any type of weight after a show, which usually was a lot because I was not in a healthy place with my body or with my eating, I would put on 30 pounds and I would get a pretty high body fat and I would get big because I have now muscle under this 30 pounds of fat. And I would feel like a giant. I'm a triple extra large, like I'm obese, like all these things would start going into my head. And how I would solve that was I would prep for another show. And then I would start losing weight and people would start telling me I'm losing weight and you look so good. And then I was fine. And I never actually dealt with it. And then after, well, I mean, it kind of became apparent when I got married because I was convinced that I was fat on my wedding day. And I'm not just saying like I thought that I was just like a bit softer, like I was convinced that I was fat. And now I look back at those photos and I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like you're not fat at all. But I had been so lean for so long that even that like bit of normal body fat, I mean, I was probably lower body fat even than like the average woman. I had convinced myself that I was gigantic and I was ugly. And it almost prevented me from not enjoying my wedding day, but I did. And honestly, to be honest, I had to like starve myself for probably 2 weeks before to convince myself that I was like, that I was going to look good enough. Like it wasn't healthy. And then after that, I went right into prep for Arnold. And I was still in this place where I felt like I was fat all the time. And then after the Arnold, it just like went all downhill and I gained the most weight that I ever had in my life. And then it really like, I started to have anxiety that I had diabetes. I started to have anxiety that I was like obese and that I was going to ruin my insulin sensitivity and never be able to be healthy again. I didn't want to leave my house. I would wear only sweatpants, only Ian's triple extra large shirts. And I was eating a lot. I was eating like so much junk food. And then finally, when I started to like go to the gym to like try to get myself out of this place, people started asking me if I was pregnant. And someone actually came up to me and told me I was getting chubby. And like all these things basically made me go back into my hole and hide there. I like people like Ian's friends were like, is Melissa okay? Like she doesn't see like she's like, you know, I didn't see my friends for God knows how long. I missed Heather's engagement party. Like it was fucked up. And I don't like looking back now, like I have photos of myself back then when I was that weight. And like, listen, I was bigger for sure. And I was not at a healthy body fat, but like for me to have convinced myself that I was in the term obesity and that I was going to have diabetes was like ridiculous. Like it's, I don't know, but I stayed in that body fat for so long that I kind of started to realize that like the world wasn't ending just because I was, I don't want to say fat, because I was a bit heavier. And like my husband still loved me and he still wanted to have sex with me. Sorry. And like my my family still loved me and my friends still were reaching out and like everything I kind of just like was like, wow, like the world is not over and like I'm not dying. I'm not sick. I like called my doctor. We talked through everything. Like I had to realize that like everything was okay and that I could be what I wanted to be. And if this was what I wanted to be, that's okay. If you want to be something else, that's okay. But like it's everything is okay, you know what I mean? And then finally I was like, okay, now I'm ready to like start again. And yeah, it still hurt when people would say things to me, but it didn't hurt as much. And I knew that I don't know, it just didn't feel, the way that my body looked did not feel like so much of a pressure after going through that. Whereas before it was a very intense pressure in my life.
Like now it doesn't.
Now it doesn't.
So like you made yourself feel better by going through prep, being smaller, and then getting that, but now you just feel better because you feel good about yourself.
100%. And I trained in shorts the other day, and I was talking to someone about it, and if I didn't have lines in my quads, I wouldn't have put on shorts. I would have been like, I have fat knees, I'm not wearing shorts today. And I'm like, are you crazy? I'm sorry, I look fucking good, I'm gonna wear some shorts. But I did not feel that way before. I would not wear a crop top if I didn't have abs, 22-inch waist, tights. If I had to sit down and there would be a roll of skin, nope, not showing it. But now I'm so comfortable in my body. I was wearing shorts, I was wearing crop tops fucking 15, 20 pounds ago. So I don't know. I don't want to say you have to go through it to know that it's okay, but I had some sort of self-realization that I actually don't fucking care anymore if people are going to look at me and think that I'm too fat or think that I'm too muscular or think that I'm manly or whatever. And I don't know if I would ever feel this peaceful if I didn't go through that really, really shitty period. And it almost I don't know if I was testing the waters of oh, well, is Ian still going to love me? You know what I mean? Is Christopher still going to have the same respect for me that I know that he does? Are my parents going to think less of me because I'm not attractive, you know what I mean? Or they don't have a beautiful daughter that's in good shape anymore. But it actually doesn't matter. The people that matter in my life did not treat me any differently. Not even in the slightest. Half of them didn't even know what the fuck I was going through, and they didn't treat me any differently. There was no pity. There was no oh, I'm going to be gentle towards you, or I don't want to see you. Nothing. Everything was normal. And now I'm well, what's the big fucking deal then? What am I so worried about? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how I fix myself.
Well, I'm very happy for you.
So am I.
I've noticed a big shift in your energy and shit. And you were always a happy, positive, confident person, but it's so much stronger now.
I mean, I think even if you just look at the first episode compared to where you are now, of since we started doing this, your complete energy has I mean, I know there was times before that, but your energy has clearly shifted in a different direction, and I think you're more radiant with that energy towards other people as well.
It's hard too because I always get you're so happy and so positive and people like to be around you, and for a while I kind of felt fuck, you better act like that then.
Yeah.
And then
but that's what I meant. There was a period you were, and then you were kind of acting like it, and then it's just a stronger, real version.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely, and it used to piss me off when I felt like shit and people would tell me this is for a reason and you'll be thankful for it one day. It would bother me a lot. I'd be like, fuck you, I'm upset and I'm never going to be happy again. That's literally what would go through my head. And now that I'm out of it, they were right, you know what I mean? So I feel if anyone's feeling like that, I
think it's just you don't now that you have it back, in a sense, you almost appreciate having it that much more, being that
I appreciate it, but I feel very much I'm not scared to be myself and to
exactly
and I'm not scared to feel like shit too. For a while I was feeling better, but I was still scared to feel like shit, or I was still scared that something would happen and then everything would come crumbling down.
One bad day means everything can be bad after that day.
I feel very strong and capable right now to handle anything. So that's a new feeling for me.
You're gonna take over the world.
That's the biggest thing of growth. I think people go through shitty times oh, I dealt with that, when something new comes up and like that, or I heard Matt kind of say it, I'm at a point in my life where there's nothing like stressful, so I can do this. But like that's all good to get over those stressful times, but to actually be at a point where it doesn't matter if anything's around you or if something else comes at you or something else even shittier than happened before, but you just know you can handle it and everything's going to be fine afterwards. And no matter what shitstorm's going on, you can still get your shit done and move forward and get over it, because life's going to fucking move on with or without you.
But I think that comes down to like what you said of changing your mindset with your vocabulary. So I think like you're saying, like, I have to wake up and say, like you said, like, I'm just going to take on the day no matter what's going on. I'm not going to use the negative, words here and there. And I think that's what, like, say for myself, that I would have to work on. Like you said, nothing might be stressful right now, but if something did come up, how would I then handle that,
Yeah.
Well, that's how you're actually going to innately get rid of those thoughts of
Yeah.
what ifs. Because that what if actually won't matter anymore because you can fucking handle it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Totally right. I also heard that you should become a therapist based on some of the comments.
I can see it.
Might happen.
Social media therapist.
I'll let you fix me, and then
you fix you.
Yeah. I'm using your advice. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, Matt, we didn't tell you what next week is, but it's going to be really fucking exciting, and there's going to be some guests.
Is it?
I'm not telling you because then they'll all hear and it won't be a surprise. But I'll
it's
tell
not the
you
one that we
after
originally talked about.
No.
Okay.
Wait, it's similar. Yeah.
It's similar, but it's more fun.
Okay.
Like more funny, jokey.
Okay. Good.
And you're gonna be the game show host.
I'm the host. Okay. Good.
That's a hint. Okay.
I have a feeling I know what it is, but okay.
You probably do, but hopefully they won't.
Okay. But yeah.
Okay. I feel like we can sign off after I just like poured my.
Did it feel good to at least release it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
I can say it feels good to be around you, Ian, Courtney, Matt, and people like leveling up. Like a lot of change and growth in like people's like lives, It makes me feel good to be around people like that.
Well, you're doing it too. I
We're
feel
all
like
kind of doing it.
everyone's like going inward to like move upward.
Yeah.
The secrets lie within you.
Christopher with his fucking one-liners. Eh?
I'm a man of little words.
One-liners and farts.
Wisdom and laughter. What more do you need?
I knew he did something because he had like this just smirk on his face.
Well, everyone definitely heard it. It was not quiet.
Hopefully the mic's not that good.
Oh, okay. Signing off.
All right, yeah. So get ready for next week. It'll be fun. Thank you guys for listening, and catch you in the next one.
Peace.